here's a piece I just finished up the other day of old Mr. Prince, our boy Sanji. I really hope you enjoy it. It's in a little bit of a different style, kind of a combination of a manga as well as the look from the anime and kind of a comic book flair as well, so... One Piece Chapter 183, Squadron Leader Karoo. Only in One Piece could Oda make you really love and respect a duck. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another heartfelt and heartwarming review, I should say, on the epic and classic tale of One Piece. Our last chapter saw us with, of course, ending up with Mr. 2 posing as Usopp and trying to, capture Vivi and we presume kill her. Karoo at the last minute kind of jumped up, even though he was bloodied and beaten, and she got on top of him, and they're trying to escape from Mr. 2. So that's how the chapter left off, and that's how the chapter begins. And I just have to say real quick that personally I really like, now being almost 200 chapters in, and I'm sure it only gets better from here, but I like seeing the Straw Hats kind of coming together and playing off of each other, playing off of each other's strengths, just the different matchups, the things that are happening. There's a lot going on, and it's good things that are happening. It's certainly evolved, I think, in a nice way into a very cohesive unit, and I'm sure, again, it's only going to get better. So, what I said at the beginning, though, I truly mean. I mean, Oda is a genius and a master in many different respects, but to really make you care about what, up until now, I just thought was kind of a goofy background character, this Karoo, it really is. It's a testament to his strengths as a writer and as an author. So, definitely hats off to him for that. So the chapter starts out with, of course, Mr. 2 chasing them, and Karoo is just, cruising, trying to get to Alabarna, and Mr. 2, of course, is coming at them. Vivi's like, Karoo, you're already weakened, and, you just let me off. I'll fight him. There's no way that we're going to be able to he'll catch us as we start to go up the stairs, because there's these stairs that go up to Alabarna. Alabarna is actually a city like on a cliff. There's like a cliff surrounding it, and then there's stairs going up for each entrance into the city, and each gate, I should say. Now, if you remember, of course, the rebels are already fighting. They've come into kind of the, not the inner part of the city, but the outskirts of the city, and they're fighting against the Royal Army. So, Mr. 2 is chasing them, and Karoo just goes, and I mean just mans up over here, right? And he's not gonna, and she's like, what, you're heading straight for the wall, right? Karoo goes straight for the wall and starts running up the goddamn wall, okay? Like something straight out of like a Looney Tunes cartoon, man. He just starts just up the wall, right? And it reminds me almost like of a Scooby-Doo or something like that, where you just hear like a, and then all of a sudden, like, he realizes what he's doing, and he's gonna fall. No, he goes, and as he's scaling this wall, then he goes and kind of gets a burst and sort of like jumps, and then actually goes and starts flapping his little wings and flying, and gets himself up to the corner of it and grabs on with his claws to the top of this cliff. And this cliff's got to be, I don't know, 100 foot, 200 foot tall. Who cares? Anything more than his height is amazing to me. So he really just shows you. I mean, he is a real cool character, And so Mr. 2 goes and he's like, oh, that won't stop me, and he goes and comes after him, and he starts kind of running up the wall, and he's like, that won't stop me with my magical swan, my okama karate, it says "oh come my way" in here, but everybody has made it apparent that was just a censorship thing, and it's his okama, his transvestite karate. Which I have no idea, what the deal is with that, and tell you the truth, that would be a whole video in and of itself if I were to speculate on what transvestite karate would be like, or kung fu. But then we also wound up seeing at the beginning of the chapter, and I almost forgot to mention this, a very brief flashback where it showed on the ship that not only did they put the bands on their arms, but then underneath the bands they actually have like an X that they marked on or tattooed on or whatever they did, burned in. I have no idea if they branded them on. But what it is, and Zoro came up with the idea, it's like a double layer of protection, so to speak, as far as, because so if anybody does, in fact, find out about, the bands, right, and tries to impersonate them, obviously Mr. 2 being the one, then they'll have that, you can say, hey, if you're even worried about somebody, maybe is Mr. 2 or impersonated, you ask them to lift their thing up, and if they don't, their band up, and if there's not an X underneath, then obviously So it really was kind of a cool thing. And then we get something, and Sanji's like, yeah, too smart to have come, that's a really smart plan, too smart to have come from the likes of you. And Zoro's like, what? Gets all angry, I'll kill you. And then Luffy's like, yeah, that's him. because he said, how do we know he's not actually Mr. 2 right now, being, because it's too smart to have come from the actual Zoro. So again, real funny comical exchanges that happen amongst the crew. So back to the top of the wall, and all the rebels are fighting and everything like that up there against the Royal Army, and Karoo is able to pull himself over the top, and of course Vivi, and he's still battered and broken, and he's still kind of trying to run, and he's trying to get through the crowd. As he's trying to fight through this mob and this crowd, Mr. 2, of course, has now scaled the wall, and he's coming after him with his swan shit. And then he winds up, and Karoo actually gets shot then. And I don't know, I'm assuming it's from an errant bullet, from the fight that's ensuing that they're trying to get through the crowd of. So he winds up going and getting shot, and Karoo is like, and he's still going, right? And that's what, like I said, man, he is, only in this series could you really truly be rooting for and cheering on a duck, right? This thing is awesome. So anyway, so he's cruising. Eventually, they wind up kind of getting through the mob and what have you, but it just has no strength left, and he eventually just collapses. It's Mr. Swan, or not Mr. Swan, Mr. Two Bone Clay winds up going and nailing him from behind, I think, or something like that. Maybe tripping him from behind, or is able to hit him. But maybe Karoo just gave out. I forget exactly how it happened, but Karoo is down. He's down. And Vivi's sitting there, and she's like kind of thinking, oh my God, and she's crying over him and everything. And Mr. 2 is like, oh yeah, see, and I told you it was useless and this and that. And she's just like, I know, and they're right. And then all of a sudden, as Mr. 2 Bon Clay is about to come in there, and I actually just like saying that, like that, Bon Clay. And as he's about to come in and use some transvestite kung fu or what have you on Vivi and maybe Karoo, because he warns Karoo not to get in his way again. Two other ducks going in this really cool, from the Supersonic Duck Squadron, come in. It's cool because they got these like little helmets on and stuff. It's really awesome, like aviator type, helmets. The old time leather ones with the goggles up on it. So two of these guys come in and just boom, boom, just nail, Mr. 2. And right as he's about to, close in on Vivi and Karoo, and they boom, they knock him back and what have you. And then all of a sudden we go and Sanji appears, right, looking all cool. He's got the glasses on, his little wire rimmed glasses for his disguise, I guess you would call it. And he's just like, okay, you guys are good. Make sure Vivi's okay and blah, blah. I'll take care of this chump, And so Mr. 2 goes in, and Mr. 2 and Sanji are now going to go toe-to-toe. And he goes, and it's funny because he's like, oh, so I've heard about you. Mr. 2's talking to Sanji. He's like, I've heard about you. You're Mr. Prince and this and that, aren't you? And he goes, pulls the glasses off, and he's like, no, I'm Sanji. I'm a cook. And he's like, oh, a cook? Well, I'm a pirate, and I'm a criminal. You shouldn't mess with criminals. He's like, I'm a pirate and a cook, So I thought that was good, just how he said that. He's like, and you have our snipers goggles. I'll need them back, or I want them back. And they kind of start to go at it, with each other with the kicks and stuff like that, which is really cool. So that's definitely something that's going to unfold. They start attacking each other a little bit, but we don't see a whole lot of it. It just kind of like is left at that, And of course, Mr. 2 Bon Clay, his karate is no joke, his transvestite karate. So it's going to be a nice showdown between those two. Then we go and we're taken to kind of the last few pages of the chapter, and the real Usopp has gone, and he's out by the southwest gate, and he goes and he finds Chopper, and Chopper's kind of like, even though he's in his big manned up form, man, he's kind of like laying on the ground bloodied and beaten, and Usopp's like, oh man, I came to help you and this and that, Chopper, what's going on? And basically what this serves as is, there's not a whole lot of action or anything like that. It serves as a description for what Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas, what their powers are. Apparently, because he's like looking around, and Usopp's like, where are they? Where are they? Because the Chopper warns him they're nearby. And he's like, you won't see them. It's underground, He's like, what? So he goes, Miss Merry Christmas has the power. She's eating the devil fruit, the dig fruit. So she's like a mole, right? And I always thought she looked kind of goofy. So she's a mole. She can dig underneath the ground, right, and come up to attack you. And Mr. 4, for anybody who knows anything about American baseball, is a cleanup hitter. And the fourth slot, anybody again who knows anything about baseball, your first hitter is your leadoff guy. Your third hitter is considered your power guy, your guy that comes up there, and he's the guy who comes, he's your home run hitter. Your fourth guy is your cleanup hitter. He's the guy that if they walk the third guy to get to you, you make them pay. You know what I mean? That's your big bat. So he's a cleanup hitter. And of course, we saw him, nail the baseball out there earlier, and I thought he fired it from some kind of cannon, but I guess he must have hit it with a bat. But anyway, so then we go and the chapter ends with him, going in, and you see him appear, and he kind of tosses a ball up, and one of his exploding bombs is just kind of a tick, tick, So that's how the chapter goes and ends off. And again, there's just a bunch of shit going on, a bunch of cool fights that are starting and ensuing. Of course, in the next couple of chapters, we're probably going to get to see Zoro, and we know Nami's not going to do a ton. I don't know. Who knows, though? She's got that new staff and everything like that. And I mean, she might be formidable enough to actually help. But we know that Zoro is going to be going, face to face here with Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger. And then, of course, Sanji's got his hands full with Mr. 2. All hell is breaking loose. I mean, it's just, it's really, really cool stuff. Really, really good chapter. And ultimately just really, really good story. So, now that I'm done saying really, really a bunch before proceeding things, I'm going to ask my chapter question. And my chapter question is, brothers and sisters, what do you think of Karoo? I mean, the Supersonic Duck Squadron, honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, this is just goofy as shit. Like, I don't even buy this. You know what I mean? These guys all got their little costumes and they're dressed up, and it honestly just looks like, like Halloween gone bad. But what do you think about Karoo? What are your thoughts on him? I mean, I had no idea. I really had no idea that you could care for a character this much, because, I mean, I'm sitting there, and as he's climbing that wall, the side of the wall, and then he starts flying, I'm just like, Karoo! Karoo! And I'm sitting there reading this thing, like, talking out loud to myself, so I thought it was great. Remember to leave your answer to that question, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Below for right now, until YouTube fucks up something like with the comments section that they've already done, and maybe the comments wind up being up above or to the side. But for right now, they're down below, so hopefully it'll stay like that for quite some time. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and maybe subscribe if you haven't done so already. Well, I look forward to catching you in the next one, nation.
Chopper looks angry here, and I didn't know why. The only thing I can suspect is maybe you haven't watched, liked, shared, subscribed, or spread the word of the nation. But that's just a guess.